Regular viewers may remember Mark's mini review of the Adam SP5 headphones back when he wrote, recorded, mixed and mastered a song in just an hour.
We interrupt this video to bring you a mini headphone review. These make me feel like my head is in a bin, but they actually sound fantastic.
Well, the review was as crap as the song was, so I thought I'd do a proper one. The Adam Audio SP5 is a closed-back studio headphone, the sole offering in Adam's headphone lineup, and utilises Bavarian headphone manufacturer Ultrasound's patented S-Logic Plus technology, allowing excellent analysis of the sound staging and promising long hours of fatigue-free listening. Indeed, the SP5 bears a striking resemblance to Ultrasound's signature series of headphones. Let's look at the physicalities. The headphones come in a semi-hard case and are reasonably lightweight, coming in at only 290 grams, and with the nicely padded headband, they don't feel too heavy on the head. They feel like they're very well built, if a little plasticky, and would withstand many years of studio use, although I'd definitely be interested to see how the earpiece material holds up over time, whether it loosens up or stays as rigid as it currently is. The earpieces rotate through 120 degrees, so they pack nicely flat in the case and can still be used if you have ears on the front of your face. The earmuffs are made from a leathery material, and this does mean that they can get a little sweaty after prolonged use, and this can get uncomfortable. This is why I quite often fall back on our trusty Beyerdynamic DT770 or 990 headphones. You can listen to music for hours on end on these headphones without your ears or head feeling tired, achy or sweaty. The soft cushion material just means they perch on your ears, don't apply too much pressure, and feel like squidgy little kittens on the side of your head.
Oh, soft kittens.
The Adam SP5s on the other hand feel like they're pushing ever so slightly too hard on the side of my head, and certainly don't feel as premium as the Austrian Audio HiX65 we reviewed back in December. Connection to the SP5s is made via one of two supplied cables, 1/4 inch or 3.5mm TRS jack, and on the headphone end, a 2.5mm TRS plugs into the left earpiece and locks securely in place with a twist. Both the 1/4 inch and 3.5mm jack iterations have a coiled cable which can easily stretch to over 2 meters in length. The SP5 have an impedance of 70 ohms, so they're easily drivable by any modern audio interface. So how do they sound? There is a very good overall clarity and dynamic range, and they sound very Adam, nicely open and detailed in the mids and highs. When I first started using the headphones, I thought I could hear a very slight treble roll-off from about 7K upwards, and I did find that certain classical or jazz records were not quite as clear as I remember them being on other playback systems, but this did vary depending on what headphone amplifier I was using to drive them. I found certain frequencies around 6K to be a little harsh, especially in sibilants and vocals and in drum kit cymbals, but this appeared more prevalent when listening on my SSL2 and not so noticeable on a high-end Focusrite interface or the main headphone output of the Audient Nero monitor controller. So they seem to be quite revealing of a less than ideal headphone amplifier. I found the bass end to be really tasteful and not overwhelming or woolly in any way, but despite the headphone's frequency response being quoted at 8 Hz to 38 kHz, I didn't feel I could really hear any super low sub-frequencies. Pairing this with a sub pack to feel the bass would be a fantastic combo to get good sub-frequency representation while still keeping the surrounding area silent. It's important to note that the response of the low end highly depends on the earmuffs being perfectly in place. With even the slightest gap between your head and the earmuffs, the bass end changes dramatically, so you need to make sure the headphones are fitted to your ears correctly to get the best experience.
This is shit! I'm not getting any bass!
But overall, the tonality of the headphones is great once you've had some time to learn them. The soundstage is fantastic. The sound is wide and any panned elements have clear directionality. Any hard pan sounds still sound like they're part of a cohesive whole mix, not just thrown out of one earpiece, at least in a mix context. Although you still get the sound is in the middle of my head type of experience that headphones provide, it's a really great sounding portrayal of the stereo field, and you can accurately pick out directionality of every instrument with fine precision. In terms of signal preservation, there was no distortion on playback. The signal remained clean and thus wasn't tiring to listen to at low volumes. However, at louder volumes, the treble end becomes ever so slightly more harsh with lesser headphone amplifiers, bringing in that sibilance that I mentioned a little earlier. Distortion tires your ears, and so reasonably loud listening is only possible for short periods of time. And of course, this is recommended anyway to protect your hearing. For tracking, sound isolation is great. There's very little spill from the headphones when properly seated, so even drummers that need the loudest of click tracks can be catered for, and they play plenty loud enough to drown out the cacophony of a band in the same room. Bless you. So let's get Mark's thoughts from a mastering perspective, having used them for a few weeks now.
My initial thoughts were that these were everything I hate about closed-backed headphones, but that's a very subjective opinion, and true for me, at least, of pretty much any pair of closed-back headphones I've ever used. But it still holds true. 20 minutes and I'm done, and I need to take them off and have a break, but that's arguably not a bad thing. Sonically, they're very good. They have the Adam sound in the mids and highs, but unlike James, I wasn't hearing any of that sibilance or harshness in the top end, but did find the low end took some getting used to, and that any mixes I was doing on these sounded a little bass light when I switched back to the ATCs or my trusty Bayer DT990s. It felt somewhat akin to listening to a loudspeaker that had its bass port slightly hyping the low end, but nothing you couldn't get used to, and common with a lot of closed-back designs. In a nutshell, if I was just starting out and had £400 to spend on monitoring, I'd probably choose these over a pair of near-field monitors at that price, especially if my room wasn't as ideal as I'd like it to be. You're going to hear more detail on these than you will on a similarly priced pair of speakers. The soundstage is excellent, and their closed-back nature does make them eminently suitable for tracking as well as mixing, so good multi-purpose headphones. For mastering, well, I always check masters on headphones, and often several different pairs, purely because most consumers are listening to music on headphones these days, but I still do the bulk of my work on my speakers, and probably always will. If I had to choose between these and the Austrian Audio Hi X65, for me it would be the X65, but let's not forget that they're open backed and so a very different beast. And if you need a pair of closed back headphones and are looking for something in this price range, then I'd highly recommend you try these out. I hate the feel, but I actually really like the sound, and that's the important bit.
I can't hear anything. Did someone say something?
For fuck's sake. Trying to perform a serious piece here.
Just at the end. Ah, I laughed just at the end.